All right. Thank you for your patience and good afternoon. And welcome to the 6th Annual Graduate School of Arts and Sciences Master's SynThesis competition. Here in real life. My name is Rachel Bernard, and I'm the director of GSAS Compass, the Office of Graduate Career Development.
And I'm Francesca Finelli. I'm Associate Director of Graduate Career Development in GSAS Compass. And we are your hosts today. It is my pleasure to introduce Dean Carlos J. Alonso, Morris A. and Alma Shapiro Professor in the Humanities, Dean of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, and Vice President of Graduate Education, who will offer our opening remarks.
Good afternoon and welcome to the friends, family, peers, alumni, staff, and faculty who have come to Lerner Hall today and who are joining us online to celebrate our outstanding master's students. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the 6th Annual GSAS Master's SynThesis competition and our first in-person competition since 2019. That's worth an applause. Since our inaugural event in 2016, I have looked forward to SynThesis every year because it embodies the graduate school's central aim: to provide our students with opportunities that allow them to thrive academically, professionally, and personally, both during their sojourn with us and afterwards. This competition not only celebrates the outstanding work of our MA students, it also helps them hone their presentation and persuasion skills, which will serve them well long after their time with us here at Columbia. This afternoon, we will hear from 12 of our talented master's students, presentations on thesis topics ranging from the predator-prey relationship between Alaskan bears and salmon, you know who wins that competition, to Chinese development finance in Africa, from 19th century Japanese historical fiction to corporate America's response to the Black Lives Matter movement. These 12 finalists were selected from a deep and impressive pool of applicants from across the graduate school. They have worked hard to distill their thesis research into a 3-minute presentation and one single slide. We deeply appreciate the many MA program staff and faculty who support and encourage their students to pursue ambitious research. These wonderful students would not be here without your commitment. I would like to welcome and introduce our faculty and alumni judges. Brian Boyd, Department of Anthropology and Director of the MA program in Museum Anthropology. Matt Sandler, Department of English, the Center for the Study of Ethnicity and Race, and Director of the MA program in American Studies. Elise Jordan, Managing Director of Library and Research Service at the Council on Foreign Relations and a graduate of the Sociology MA program. And Tracy Swick, art historian and writer and graduate of the Modern and Contemporary Art program. The judges will base their scores on the content and overall presentation. At the conclusion of the presentations, the scores will be tallied and the winners will be announced. To the 12 finalists, you exemplify the range and depth of MA student research at Columbia. Your work is an inspiration to all of us. We're so very proud of what you have accomplished. Good luck with your presentations.
Thank you, Dean Alonso. Today's competition will begin shortly with presentations from the 12 finalists. Please refer to your event program for the order in which they will speak, as well as their project abstracts. Each finalist will present for 3 minutes using only one slide and no notes, and they'll be evaluated both on the content of their presentations as well as their delivery. The top 3 presenters, according to our panel of judges, will be awarded prizes of $500, $300, and $200. Also, audience members here and also those of you online, keep in mind that your vote counts as well. Following the presentations, we will provide instructions to cast your vote online for audience choice. And now we will begin with our first presenter.
I want to start by asking everyone to close your eyes and think about the first time you visited the zoo. Perhaps it was as a small child, filled with bubbling excitement. Or perhaps it was as a grown adult, taking some time off work and school. You see an amazing amount of animals, the magnificent lions, the majestic elephants, and finally you come to the cute, cuddly giant panda. You watch as he rolls around on the grass with his huge baby-like eyes and his small clumsy limbs. And you just wish you could reach out and give him a huge cuddle. This is Xiao Titi, or Little Miracle, born in the Smithsonian National Zoo, Washington, D.C. in August 2020. Why was he called the Little Miracle? First, because he was born in the middle of this global pandemic, when all of us have had to live 6 feet apart. But second, because he was also born at the lowest point of the US-China relationship. And because of that, he was seen as a symbol of hope, that just maybe this world could be a more peaceful place. We all know what panda diplomacy is. We know that when China sends its pandas to zoos all around the world, as seen on the map on the slide, that these pandas go not just as mere animals, but they go as ambassadors of friendship. Yet, none of the academic literature so far has looked into the Chinese perspective in terms of how China presents and perceives of this panda diplomacy. In my thesis, I studied 59 different diplomatic statements from Xi Jinping and from various Chinese foreign ministry officials to try to understand how China presents panda diplomacy. I found first that panda diplomacy to China is seen as a way to build emotional connections with the citizens of other countries in what China calls people-to-people relationships. Second, I found that China also uses especially emotional and romantic language when talking about panda diplomacy, in particular through the use of Chinese chengri, or idioms, something which is very unique in today's diplomatic, bureaucratic, and formal world. The idiom on the slide here perfectly encapsulates both of these arguments. It is a quote from an official statement by Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Zhao Lijian, and it says, 山川异域，风月同天. This translates to, across the mountains, streams, and faraway lands, we share the same wind, moon, and sky. This captures exactly what China wants to do through panda diplomacy, with the kind of wistful yearning that one has for a lover far away. And what China is trying to do through panda diplomacy is to show that though the distance between it and other countries might be great, this distance is not too great for the pandas to cross. Thank you.
In June 2020, I was inundated with text messages, ads, social media posts, all claiming that my life matters, Black Lives Matter. And these messages were so explicit in ways I hadn't experienced before that I quickly began to think to myself, am I being played? Is my existence now trendy? This question of diversity as a principle versus diversity as a prop is a driving force behind my research. My study examines how companies responded to the Black Lives Matter movement of summer 2020, and if there is any impact on their rates of Black talent. I examined 5 major tech companies, focusing on how companies responded to BLM through their commitments, along with their demographic data before and after summer 2020. Here's what I found. While companies claim to be for racial equity, most commitments did not address systemic inequality within the organization itself. Instead, companies primarily focused on commitments external to the organization, like philanthropy and customer support. In fact, only about a third of commitments were dedicated to organizational change, like improving hiring policies in the leadership pipeline. And when we look at the rates of Black talent, these companies are far below the national line. So what does it mean to say Black lives matter when Black people don't exist in your environment? Today's consumers are more inclined to support companies that share their values. So companies had a real incentive to show support and solidarity with BLM. By promoting external efforts to benefit the Black community, companies were able to espouse the values of diversity, but without having to make substantial changes within. This paradox is called a diversity ideology. Unlike colorblind racism, which ignores the existence of race, a diversity ideology celebrates difference while maintaining structural inequality. It's how Facebook was able to boldly state Black Lives Matter and Black talent be the least represented across the company. It's how Pinterest was able to denounce systemic racism, and yet only 4% of those in leadership roles are Black. So going back to my initial question of, am I a prop? A diversity ideology would say, yes, you are, but it doesn't have to be that way. Research has shown that organizational change through affirmative action plans, diversity committees, and specialized roles can improve racial diversity and equity in the workplace. And the effects of racial equity are far-reaching. Not only does it benefit people of color through increased wages and upward mobility, it also increases innovation and creativity in companies. Not to mention, it lowers the unemployment rate and boosts consumerism, which benefits our entire economy. So if Black lives matter, let it matter in all aspects of Black livelihood. The future of our society depends on it. Thank you.
Our story today begins with Pacific salmon in the ocean. Each year, salmon swim upstream in great hordes to lay their eggs in fresh water. Brown bears wade along the streams and feast on the migrating salmon. These bears then leave scat and salmon carcasses across the forest, and through this predator and prey interaction, nutrients are transported from the ocean into the river and all across the land. And that is why this bear and salmon relationship is a keystone relationship, because the soil, the plants, the animals in the ecosystem all depend upon it. My hypothesis is that bears and salmon are negatively correlated. So more salmon, less bears. Sounds counterintuitive, right? But bears organize themselves in distinct social hierarchies. And I believe that a few dominant bears monopolize the streams with most salmon, pushing out the many, many lower ranking bears to the streams with less salmon. And to test my hypothesis, I will use 10 years of bear and salmon data. So how do we measure the number of bears? We string wire across the stream. As bears pass, a ball of hair is caught on the wire. We take the hair for DNA analysis to work out the distinct number of bears at each stream. How do we work out the number of salmon? Stand at the mouth of the river and take a visual count as salmon swim upstream. My study is unique because it is the first study to look at bears and salmon, the relationship between the number of bears and the number of salmon in small streams. Now, previous studies have looked at bears and salmon at waterfalls. You get some great photos, but they are not representative of how bears and salmon interact, because the majority of bears catch salmon at small, shallow streams. My study site comprises 6 more streams, and this summer I will travel there to the remote southwest of Alaska, to Bristol Bay. Why is this research important? Well, the bear-salmon relationship, though significant, is not well understood. It's really resource intensive and kind of dangerous to track large carnivores, difficult to monitor moving aquatic prey. So as the first of its kind, this project really pushes forward the frontiers of our knowledge, which is really important because the bear and salmon relationship has implications that extend far beyond just these 2 species. Now, the bear is an apex predator. It has a top-down effect across the ecosystem. So if bears have unequal access to salmon, they'll be looking for other food sources, traveling long distances. And this will have a flow-on effect for prey species like moose and deer and other predator species like foxes and wolverines. And that's why I'm so excited to better understand the bear-salmon relationship, because it really underlies the health of the entire ecosystem.
Okay, so we will start with the Audience Choice Award. And finalists, as I announce your names, if you could come to the front too, and we can applaud you all. So to start, the Audience Choice Award goes to Ana Lia Maria Sodu. Congratulations. Coming in third place, we have Alice Yan. Congratulations.
It's working. Congratulations. Okay, and so for the first time ever, we have a tie for first place. Appropriate reaction. So we'll have no second place, but 2 first place winners. So our first place winners are Marcus Tan and Yvonne Pitts.
Yvonne, yeah. All right, so winners, can you actually all please come back up to the front? And one last big cheer.
Yes, to all of our winners. Woo, everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, all of our finalists. All
Yeah,
y'all.
and everybody. So now the winners, Analia too, and then all the finalists come up, and
Yeah.
we'll all a big round of applause for everyone.
Yes, everybody.
Everybody, everybody,
Come up.
everybody,
Everybody. Yeah.
everybody.
All right.
Okay, and this concludes the 2022 GSAS Masters Synthesis Competition. Congratulations to the winners and the rest of the finalists. Thank you, judges, and thanks to all of you joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.